So it's been a while since I've recorded. Uh, my car, my 4Runner, just got back from the body shop after a month of being in there. I had a deer all the way back in June, and the poor front end of my car was just demolished. So finally got it in December and got it back at the beginning of January. So we're back. Did you miss me? As many of you know, this last year has been it's been really cool to reflect on with my wife, with Rachel, to see how much we've grown, how much we've changed. One of the things that we were talking about the other night was how our definition of God has changed. And I think that's an important thing for all of us to do, is reflect on if we're using the words that we mean to be, and if they have the same definition that they did before. What I mean by that is having an expansive lexicon, a lot of words at your disposal, is important, right? Because then you can express yourself and really convey what you mean. And my life coach taught me that people say what they mean. And I think there's an addendum there that people say what they mean to the best of their ability. The more words you can have at your disposal, the better you will be able to convey and say what you mean, mean what you say. So back to this God idea. The definition of God for me has always been, and this is a very, 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 very LDS perspective, right? They think of, and I get Christianity divides this up. You either have a Father, Son, and Holy Ghost that are three distinct beings, separate, but unified in purpose, or you have Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost being one entity, one being. So from an LDS perspective, you have three distinct beings, Father, Son, Holy Ghost being the only one without a body. And so that was my definition of God, was God the Father of those three distinct beings of the Godhead. And so I've had a lot of trouble as I've transitioned out of the faith to describing what God is. And I kept saying source, or supreme intelligence, the great creator, source light, and none of those really fit the bill, because I believe in a greater power, and those all work, but I wanted to be able to use the term God. My prayers have changed, my meditations have changed, my communion with the Supreme has changed. And I realized that the term God hadn't changed along with it. I still, every time I use the verbiage God, the word God, it meant this LDS idea of God. And that definition has now changed for me. So I can now use the word God. And because I've changed it, I've rewritten, I've reprogrammed in my brain what the term God means. It is now a usable term for me again. I think it's going to be interesting when I have conversations with people to clarify that point, because I'll have conversations with my Christian friends, my Jewish friends, my Muslim friends, my Buddhist friends, go on down the line, whatever their belief system is, atheists, agnostics. And when I use the term God, when any of us use the term God, what does that mean for us? The other thing that my life coach taught me is to stay curious. Come at these sorts of things by questioning them, and be curious, non-judgmental. And so I think that's going to be a really cool part of conversations with people, is you just use the term God. What does that mean for you? So I encourage all of you to do the same thing. When you're talking with anybody, don't assume that you know what they're saying just because they used a word that's familiar to you. Their definition of that word may be different. And so stay curious, ask them questions, dig into what they believe. And I think that you'll find that it's worthwhile and it'll help both of you grow and appreciate each other.